Attention, quiet on the set. It's Tirade TV. So everyone, let's get right into it. If you haven't heard already, there has been another mass shooting which took place in Buffalo, New York today at a grocery store. I always start off this by saying, you know, prayers to everyone that was affected, as far as the families of those who are wounded and are fatally wounded. It's always a tragic thing when lives are taken for senseless reasons or purposes, but it's uh it's definitely something that happens all too often. I could say that, but there's something else that happens all too often too in situations like this. But let me just go to the first. You know what? Let me just go to the video here. Let me share the screen here, and for those who are listening on the podcast, I will definitely play this, and we'll go back and read an article also. Let's see here. Yeah, let's play this.
I'm taking you now to Buffalo, New York, where police officials are discussing a mass shooting that happened in a supermarket. CBS News has confirmed at least 10 people are dead, more are injured. Let's listen.
Alan, let me know when we're good. Mary Brown. What started out as a beautiful day in the city of Buffalo has turned into a terrible day and one of tremendous heartbreak for every member of our community. We have suffered a mass shooting with multiple casualties and several people injured. This is the worst nightmare that any community can face. And we are hurting and we are seething right now as a community. The depth of pain that families are feeling and that all of us are feeling right now cannot even be explained. Some of us had the opportunity to provide comfort to some of the families, but needless to say, there is no comfort at this time. We are pleased that a shooter is in custody. The person responsible
And
for
this
the
footage here
tragic
is via
events of
CBS
today
News.
is in custody. You will get more details in a moment. I want to thank all of the law enforcement agencies at the federal, state, county, and city level, all of the agencies that have responded. Buffalo is known as the city of good neighbors nationally and internationally. This is a community where people love each other. The shooter was not from this community. In fact, the shooter traveled hours from outside this community to perpetrate this crime on the people of Buffalo. A day when people were enjoying the sunshine, enjoying family, enjoying friends, all manner of happy activities. People in a supermarket shopping and bullets raining down on them. People's lives being snuffed out in an instant for no reason. I have to say that this particular top supermarket is near and dear to my heart. It's one that I worked years ago to help bring to this community. It's one that I patronize from time to time. My family patronizes from time to time. And some of the victims of this shooter's attack are people that all of us standing up here know. So this is a day of great pain for our community. I want to just recognize some of.
Here's my thing. There's obviously, according to this, at least 10 dead in the shooting. The families, I think the focus should go on them right now, of the families of the victims. And to be completely honest with you, I'm not really concerned about, and I really didn't need to hear about the mayor and then his family and how they, you know, patronize the store or frequent the store. Honestly, I didn't really hear that. I mean, it's impossible to make the hearts that are already broken more heartbroken. So I didn't really need that. I mean, the hearts are broken enough from the from the family members of the victims. I really didn't need to hear that. But of course, when you have politicians, they always have to make it about them some way, somehow. You know, everything goes back to how they feel, what they've experienced. You know, we're not worried about that. The biggest thing that should be the biggest concern right now should be, taking care of the victims' families, showing them all the love and support. It's not about you, Mayor. Mayor, what is it, Byron Brown or something? I think that was the name. It's not about you. It's not about your family. Stop making it about that.
Those that are with us today before I turn things over to our police commissioner, Joseph Gramaglio, to give you more detail. I want to recognize County Executive Mark Polencars, Erie County Executive, Congressman Brian Higgins, Council President, Buffalo City Council President Darius Pridgeon, Erie County Legislature Chairwoman April Baskin, Erie County Legislator Howard Johnson. I want to recognize Governor Kathy Hochul and thank her for her calls. Governor's staff is with us now, and the governor is flying back into town and will be here sometime after 7 o'clock. I want to recognize Attorney General Letitia James, who has also called, and we have also received calls from the White House. Again, this is a day of great sadness.
See, and there he goes again. It's like he's making it about the politicians and about titles. No one cares about that. You know, make sure all like 110% of the focus goes on the families and friends of the victims. No one cares about you acknowledging and recognizing such and such and such and such, and you're receiving a call from the White House, and no one cares about that. And why am I saying that? I'm saying that because I just believe that they are going to use this for some way, somehow. Especially, I would say that more so the Democratic Party, maybe about 15 to 20% of the Republican Party, but definitely all of the Democratic Party. They're going to use this for some kind of, political game. They're going to, of course, if I'm not mistaken, this took place in a black community. This is another way they're going to try to use this to reach out, quote unquote, to the black community and prove that it was a racist act, which, without knowing all the facts, it could have very well been. I don't know, but it just seems as though like almost every shooting or every mass shooting, some way somehow comes back to race. It just, it's strange how that always happens. Let me, you know what? Let me go to this other article here now. Let you all see this here. And we'll read this for everyone. And if I'm not mistaken, this is through USA Today. It says 10 people were killed and 3 others injured in a quote unquote racially motivated shooting at a supermarket in a predominantly black neighborhood in Buffalo, New York, authorities said. Officials said the suspected gunman, a white 18-year-old man, traveled several hours to Buffalo to carry out the attack, which he live streamed on social media. 11 of the 13 people who were shot were black. Buffalo Police Commissioner Joseph Gramaglia said at a news conference the suspect was taken into custody after the attack. Gramaglia added. Now look at this here. It says, quote, this was pure evil, unquote. Erie County Sheriff John Garcia said, quote, it was a straight up racially motivated hate crime from somebody outside of our community, unquote. Gramaglia said the gunman was wearing tactical gear and was armed with an assault-style rifle. He parked outside the Tops Friendly Market around 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time and opened up fire in the parking lot, killing 3 people and injuring a 4th. He then went inside and continued his rampage, Gramaglia said. A retired Buffalo police officer who was working as a security guard at the store confronted the gunman and shot him. Authorities said the gunman was hit, but his tactical gear prevented injury. The gunman returned fire, killing the guard. Yeah, that's I mean that is definitely that's a sad situation there. I'm not going to deny that. How could anyone deny that? That's a very sad situation. It's tragic. The gunman made his way through the store, firing at others before he was met by law enforcement near the lobby. Authorities said the gunman had his weapon pointed at his head, and authorities were able to negotiate his surrender. Quote, we were investigating this incident as both a hate crime and a case of racially motivated violent extremism, unquote, said Stephen Bolongia, special agent of charge of the FBI's Buffalo field office. Let me just say this. I'm not saying it wasn't racially motivated. It could have very well been. Or it could be something that was made up. I don't know. But the issue is, and always will be, those politicians who are going to use this as for political gain. Now, right now, see what our quote unquote leaders, and when I mean leaders, I mean elected officials, regardless if it's on the nationally, statewide, locally, our so-called elected officials, quote unquote, they're going to use this for political gain. They're going to take something tragic that happened to at least 10 families, was it 10 to 13 families, and use it to get votes from the black community. Because they seem to think that, first of all, black people are shallow-minded. Like, we can't see through this. We can't see that every time an election comes up, a major election or midterm, they want to take extra time to reach out to the black community and, make sure that we all know that, that they love us and they care about us, and racism is such a bad thing. And, it's a shame that black people are getting killed, every day, all day. And we're here to help prevent that. And even though, speaking from someone who's been part of the black community, obviously, the black community has been suffering from the same thing probably for the past 70 years. And regardless of who's been in office, quote unquote, Nothing's really changed, regardless if it's been a Republican, if it's been a Democrat, or anyone in between, because you do have those politicians who kind of play both sides. We're still fighting the same thing. So obviously, by like, I don't know, 95% of the black community voting one way, that hasn't changed anything. That's why they think we're clueless. And honestly, in the black community, I don't know that we haven't given them a reason to think that, because we keep falling for the same old tricks every time. We keep falling for the same old, as some of the older people used to say, people putting the wool over our eyes. Every time, every election, every year, every month, every day, whatever. Every time you look at mainstream media, it's the same thing. Like mainstream media and these politicians are like, yeah, black people can't help themselves, so we got to make sure we help them. That's almost offensive, and that's in a sense that's kind of racist on its own. Just saying. I don't like the way things are happening. Obviously, we know there's a midterm. The midterms are coming up, and they're trying to tap into the emotions of the people, because you have the black community who, anytime the 6-letter word racism, is mentioned, it's going to draw emotions, not thoughts, but emotions from the black community. And then you have people outside of the black community that are like, well, it's a shame this keeps happening to the black community. They need our support and our love. So it's drawing on their emotions also. Stop being fooled. And this has nothing to do with the families or the victims, anything like that. That's tragic. I'm not downplaying that. I am not downplaying that in any way, shape, or form. I'm not. There are people out there who are injured, and there are people out there who lost their lives. And as I stated earlier, some politicians are going to try to take advantage of that, because that's where we are in the political in the political world right now. Any tragedy that they could take advantage of, they're going to do it. It's really a sad thing. Not only that, we have someone who they described as wearing tactical gear. Now what they're going to do is, mentally or subconsciously, a lot of people are going to start wondering is if every time they see someone in tactical gear, is that person doing something evil? Like the article said, it was a quote in the article that said this was pure evil. So anytime you see someone in tactical gear, they're pure evil. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying if you see someone in tactical gear, they're just out chilling, not doing anything. No, you always want to be, have your situational awareness, very high. But what they're trying to do now is once again use this to take away certain rights, mainly the Second Amendment. They don't like the fact that people know their Second Amendment and are willing to exercise it. They don't like the fact that you have people buying tactical gear. They don't like that. And really, honestly, at this point, in a way, it kind of doesn't matter what they do with the Second Amendment, because right now, people are in the mindset of Second Amendment or not. They are going to defend themselves. They are going to defend their family and their property, and they are going to defend this country. Bottom line, they're doing this for the easily fooled or the easily manipulated people who think that guns are bad. If you get a gun and lay it on the table, you get a firearm, lay it on the table, and don't touch it, and it's not loaded, it's not going to do anything. It just lays there. until it is in the hands of a bad person. Then that's when that firearm becomes dangerous. When it's in the hand of a bad person, like this person here that just, did the mass shooting. If he walked in there and just started laying people down, regardless of the reason, that's a bad dude. But if you take that same, let's say, you take all that guys, you take the boomstick out of his hand and all his freedom seeds and just lay it on the table, and no one touches it, no one puts a finger on it, it's harmless. But you have all these gun rights activists and certain politicians that don't seem to, well, they understand that. But they're trying to make everyone think differently. Anyways, what do you all think? If you're watching this on YouTube, Tirade TV YouTube channel, please like, subscribe, comment, share. If you're listening to this on Tirade TV podcast, download the podcast, set reminders, whatever you have to do, because we definitely need to continue to talk about this along with other things. And always remember, don't let mainstream media or some quote unquote elected politician tell you how to think or what to think. I hope you enjoyed. See you next time.